Welcome back to our course on PSE 15. In this section I'm going to look at keywords and tags, and if you've used keywords and tags in PSE before, you can probably skip this section. For those of you who haven't used them before and need to find out about keywords and tags, you may of course be getting even more impatient about capturing some more images and doing more work on images. But I should point out that for similar reasons to the reasons that I explained the catalogues in some detail earlier on in the course, I think it's quite important to understand keywords and tags before you spend a lot of time capturing images. It may well be that as part of the process of perhaps bulk capturing old images, you may want to assign keywords in an automatic or semi-automatic way as you go. So I do think it's important to understand them, even if ultimately you decide that you either aren't going to use them or that you're only going to use them in very specific circumstances that you can deal with later. First of all, let me deal with one or two aspects of terminology. People seem to interchangeably use the terms keywords and tags. I think they have a slightly different technical meaning, but like most other people, when I refer to keywords and tags, I'm really referring to the same thing. And it's a way of tagging one or more images with a keyword which enables you to classify images, catalogue them, and retrieve them. And in this section I'm going to concentrate on just two aspects of this. One of them is managing keywords and one of them is applying keywords to images. I'm going to look at aspects of searching later on. First of all, let's open the keyword info panel on the right and select tags, and you'll see that you have four categories: keywords, people tags, places tags, and events tags. The key thing about keywords is that they are a more abstract concept and a much more flexible concept than the other three. So if I click on the little wedge here to open up keywords, you'll see that with a new installation of PSE 15 you have some starter keywords. You have nature, colour, photography and other, and I'll talk about those in a moment. But the other three categories are quite specific. There's people tags, which you can use to tag images with the names of people. For example, by default they're colleagues, family and friends. You have places tags where you can indicate where a particular image was taken, and this includes some pretty good mapping facilities. And then events tags that really relate to images related to specific events. All three of these, people, places and events, and note that they're the other three major options here at the top of the organizer, are going to be dealt with much later on in the course. I'm really just dealing with keywords here. You may have noticed by now that many of the photos I take are taken outdoors. In fact, I don't really take many indoors at all, and I don't take many with people in them. A lot of my images are of nature and many of them are of animals, both domestic, farm animals and so on, but also wildlife as well, particularly when I'm on holiday, when I'm on vacation. One of the default categories of keyword there, the first one, is nature, and I might well use that keyword quite a bit, but really nature is a bit too sweeping a term for me. So what I'm going to do is to subdivide nature into additional subcategories. And one of the subcategories I'm going to have is coastline. Now, in order to create a subcategory, what I do is, if I click on the little drop down to the right of that plus sign over there, I've got new subcategory. And if I were to make my subcategory coastline, I then specify the parent category, and the parent category is going to be nature, and click on OK. Now if you look over at my keyword structure here, the technical term for this is a taxonomy, but we'll call it the keyword tree. I now have a new keyword, coastline. I'm going to also set up an additional category of mountains. So again, I'm going to click on the same drop down, click on new subcategory. By default, the parent is now the category that I had selected before I selected the create subcategory option. So I've got to be a bit careful here that I don't leave it like that. I'm going to create my subcategory of mountains, but I'm going to change the parent to nature. Click on OK. And then I think I'll have one more subcategory at the moment. This time I'm going to select nature so that it's already set up for me, and my new subcategory is going to be lakes and rivers. Now, of course, exactly how I set this structure up is entirely up to me, and of course how you set yours up is entirely up to you. I'm going to set up a bit more of my structure in a moment, but first of all, let's try using these keywords. Let's start with lakes and rivers. If I go down to these images, you can see a little section of a river in some of those images. And what I'm going to do is to apply the keyword lakes and rivers to one of those images. So I click on the keyword lakes and rivers and I can just drag it onto that image. When I've done that, I see a little icon appear in the corner of the image to indicate that I've allocated the keyword. And you'll also see on the right here a little tag, like a luggage tag. And if I hover over that, I see the screen tip, keyword tag, lakes and rivers. I can also do this completely the other way around. So if I select that particular image, I can drag it onto the keyword. Notice the little plus symbol under the even smaller thumbnail. And the keyword lakes and rivers is now applied to that image. And in fact, if I'd selected 3 of these images, I could apply it in one go to all 3 either way. So having selected those 3, let me take lakes and rivers, let me drop it on one of them, and it actually gets dropped on all 3 of them. That's a very quick way of assigning a keyword to some images. So what's the point of this? Well, one very obvious point of it is that I can filter my catalogue on keywords. So for instance, I could filter my catalogue on lakes and rivers by selecting lakes and rivers here. And now all I can see are the images that I've tagged with lakes and rivers. So to remove the filter based on keywords, all I need to do is to uncheck lakes and rivers, and I'm back to seeing all of the images in my catalogue again. Let me now return to that other part of the structure. I want to create a separate part of my keyword tree called animals. And you might say, well, that should be part of nature, but I'm just going to do it that way because I want to. And 1 or 2 of these parts of the keyword tree I don't actually want. So let me select color here. Let me right click on color. And let's suppose I'm going to delete that. I can actually delete a category or a subcategory, just like that really. Now you get a warning, deleting this category will delete all of its subcategories and keyword tags and remove those keyword tags from all items proceed. Now there's a talk there about something called saved searches that I'll talk about later on. But basically if you delete this keyword, every allocation of it to an image will be deleted as well. I haven't used it so far, so I can safely get rid of color. Note that if I wanted to delete, say, a subcategory, that's straightforward as well. Just select it, right click, follow the same procedure. If I want to create a completely new top level category in my tree, I can again go back to the drop down over here. One of the options is new category. Now this is a top level category, and mine is going to be animals. I can choose a color for the category. I'm going to talk about color pickers later on, but for the moment, pretty straightforward to click down here and find a color that you like. Let's find something for animals. What about, yeah, that will do fine. So there's my category color. And then I can choose a category icon. Let's have something with an animal. What about that little dog? There we are. Click on OK. There's my animals category. And I can create subcategories. Well, you know how to do that now, so I'll just quickly create a couple of subcategories. Just join me again in a moment. Okay, so I've created a couple of subcategories of animals, and you can really nest these down to quite a low level. So I could split horses and ponies between horses and ponies. So again, this time I'm going to right click on the category. This time the parent category is horses and ponies. The subcategory is horses. and for this one the subcategory is ponies. So my structure is building up, and of course I can delete any of the other elements, such as for example photography or other, that I don't want. Apart from creating this structure, you can also create what are in effect the leaves of the tree, the end of each of the branches of a tree. And if we take ponies as an example, let's suppose that one of my ultimate categories in this taxonomy is Shetland pony. So if I right click and say create new keyword tag, I can edit the icon that I'm going to see, and if I just click on edit icon, I can import an icon, some sort of graphic from somewhere else if I want to. I'm not going to go into that now, but I can certainly use my own type of graphic if I want to. But I'm going to assign a name. As I say, I'm going to leave the icon as it is for the moment. If I wanted to add notes here, I could, but click on OK. And what I now have is an end of the tree. If I right click on this, I no longer have the option to add a further subcategory. I can change this itself to be a subcategory if I want to, and then I will be able to add further to the structure. But basically I've made this a leaf of the tree. My next job is going to be to assign the Shetland pony keyword tag to all of the pictures in my catalogue that contain either a Shetland pony or at least a part of a Shetland pony. Some of them just have a head or a tail showing. But let me do that and then rejoin me in just a moment. So I actually got quite carried away there, and I've added quite a few tags to many of the images in the catalogue. I'm going to do one more thing here though. I'm going to create two subcategories of the photography category. And given those two subcategories of landscape and portrait, you can probably guess how I'm going to assign those. I'll do that and then join me again. Every image in my catalogue now has at least one keyword assigned. Let's take a look at that first image. First keyword there is portrait. Second keyword there is Shetland pony. Now I can use my keyword tags to do some quite complex filters. Supposing I wanted all of the portrait images that I have with a Shetland pony in them, what I would do, I would select portrait, and that basically applies a portrait filter to the media browser, and then if I click on Shetland pony as well, I'll find the portrait images with a Shetland pony in them. You may not be able to quite see it on the screen, but the right hand image there does have a Shetland pony in it. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just double click to bring it up to size, and there's the Shetland pony. It's not a very good picture actually, it's completely out of focus, but never mind. If I wanted horses, if I click on horses, I'm looking for pictures which are portrait, have horses in them, and a Shetland pony. If I said horses and ponies instead, then it would be pictures which are portrait and have any of the keywords in the branch of the tree horses and ponies. So in this case, that must mean that all of the horses pictures are landscape. So let's switch off horses and ponies in general. Let's just have horses. There's nothing there. But let's remove the checkbox on portrait, and I can now see that all my pictures that have horses in them rather than Shetland ponies are in fact all landscape pictures. If you are going to use keywords, I hope you can see from this section that it's a good idea to start to think early on about which keyword structure you're going to set up and use. But I've got a couple of other things to tell you about here. One of them is, if you've made some sort of multiple selection here, there's a clear button here that you can use to clear a filter. So if I click on clear, all of my selections in the keywords tree are removed. And also, if you want to remove a keyword from an image, so for instance, if I wanted to remove the keyword here, horses, if I right click on it, there's a remove option, remove horses subcategory keyword tag. That's the end of this section. I'll see you in the next one.